Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. Now, I was a drummer and still am in that secret society fraternal organization that controls the world called the Drumming Fraternal Association. Just kidding. If anything, drummers are rebels on the outside. But it wasn't always that way. Drummers didn't really used to have a voice as such in modern popular music and other contemporary genres of the 20th century. And this was because finding the right kind of drum to accompany pop music took a while. Of course, drums of various kinds, percussive instruments, are among the oldest instruments ever, arguably the second oldest after God's instrument, the human voice. And every culture has various percussive instruments, whether the gamelan of Indonesia, the tam-tams of Northeast Asia, the percussive instruments like the tabla that are central to raga music, the timpani, aka kettle drum of European classical music, the cymbal of the Near East, which found its way into many other cultures, the military percussion, the snare drum, which originated in the modern militaries of Europe and then became even more refined elsewhere as that military tradition became a global military tradition. But when it comes to modern pop music, when we think of percussion, we think of the modern drum set. And this, by all accounts, was really put together in the way that we would be familiar with it by a man called Baby Dodds. But the man who popularized it for the entire world and across genres was Gene Krupa. And he did this for many reasons. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A mediocre drummer understands rhythm. A good drummer has got rhythm. A great drummer has complex rhythmic ideas that he or she is able to communicate. But a truly world-trotting, fantastic, top of the heap, king of the hill drummer, I tell you what, is someone who understands those things, but also melody. And this is true with every great drummer. The drums are about creating melody with rhythmic tools. Billy Cobham, Tony Williams, Bill Bruford, Alphonse Mouzon, Art Blakey, Max Roach, Philly and Papa Joe Jones, all of these great drummers, Lenny White, they were able to do it, John Bonham, they were able to do that in any musical setting. The first to really do that was Gene Krupa. He made it clear that yes, the drum also swings and the drum creates melody. But he did a lot more than that. He made the drum set a centerpiece of music. Yes, we all know what happens when the drum solos get too long, but the idea of a drum solo on a drum set was really something that Gene Krupa pioneered. And because he was flashy and had the pizzazz, and because he had the technical chops, although people who came subsequent to him were more technically refined, he did set an amazingly high standard that inspired so many drummers, most notably Buddy Rich, who basically based his incredible virtuosity on the template that Gene Krupa had set up for him. So whether you like John Bonham or Neil Peart or Carl Palmer or Art Blakey or Billy Cobham, Tony Williams, Louis Bellson, all of the greats, they all know Gene Krupa. And Gene Krupa is really where it all began. So without Gene Krupa, I don't think that the modern drum set would have taken off the way it did. The conceptions, perceptions, and even the stereotypes, think Spinal Tap, of the modern drummer wouldn't be there without Gene Krupa. He wrote the book on what the drums are and what the drums could be. And for that, anyone who's part of this drumming fraternity ought to pay their respects. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.